Good evening, everybody. My name's Chris Marshall, and I'm bringing you guys Lap 14. My co-host, he is the 2023 FRC Super Late Model Rookie of the Year. Your friend and mine, the big LG, Lou Goss. Lou, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man, as always. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Nice.
We had a race today. We had the icebreaker after a super long off season. You know, we showed you guys everything that we're doing on the car, from putting the panels on to freshening up the engine.
Yep.
Lou, what was it like getting back?
It was great. You know, putting the car together and working in the off season, that's fun. But there's nothing like getting that thing done and getting to the racetrack.
Now, there was some new changes that were brought in, you know, during this race. There's a new tire. There's also, you know, some new variables that we came across.
Yep.
So for information on this new tire, you know, because you know, experienced some of the stuff with this new tire, explain a little bit about what we're getting with this new tire.
Yeah. I guess I don't know the specifics of it without talking to Hoosier, right? But talking to a few people, there's definitely like a sidewall change and a compound change, even though the naming on the tire is the similar, just with the asterisk put on it, ST1 star, ST2 star. Right, and so the best we could do is just kind of base everything off of our notes from last fall, which it worked out really well. We put our tires on from last fall, and we were fast, really fast, and you know, we only had enough time to put on the new set basically right before qualifying, and it was apparent to us that we had some work to do, but it was great. We took great notes on the batch numbers. Right, that's the thing, is understanding not all the tires are the same. Right, you have a whole shed filled with 200 ST1 and ST2 star tires, but they're all made in different batches, right? And to get the most consistency with your tire, as you buy more tires throughout the year, you try and find ones of that same batch number or code, and that offers the most consistency between stagger and performance.
Now, we did make a lot of adjustments to the car. Were there certain adjustments that you liked, or were there certain things that you did not like going out there?
Well, you know, we try to just, like last year, we kind of tried to focus on our tire program and leave the setup as it was on the car. Leave it close, right? We have some great help with the guys at Pathfinder and Lars Johnson and Elite Performance, right? And so they pretty much, they hang a setup in the car, and it's up to us just to be consistent with the tires, right? And that really provides the best performance. But because of the new tire, it kind of threw a wrench in it, so we tried one big adjustment, and it sort of backfired, right? I think we talked about it on the little shot that we did right at the end of the day today when we were leaving the track, where the Panhard bar was hitting the drive shaft. Not in the pits, not on stands, not even hardly on the track, just on throttle on the track. So it wasn't apparent to us until they were basically about to drop the green flag. So we just pulled off and called it a day.
Now, for a lot of the people who are not in the car, what does that feel like?
It's just a pretty intense vibration that you can tell something's not right. You know, the whole car is just vibrating. You can't hardly see. It starts to vibrate so bad. And so you try and like diagnose it early on, like maybe it's something minor, right? Make another lap, and if it's apparent that it's not going away, take the thing off, right?
Now, one of the things I noticed in the heat race that we had before the LCQ, you were making some speed in the heat race, you know, before we made that adjustment. I've just walked them through a little bit about going through that heat race, just where you were at, and, you know, just some of the things that you experienced during it. Well,
you know, we were still, because qualifying didn't go quite as we had hoped, right? Was sort of in the mindset that we were hoping that the tires would still come in and do as we had anticipated. Maybe is the word, maybe that's a strong word, because you're on a new tire, it's hard to anticipate much. That's why everyone bolts on new tires well ahead of time, because they don't want to anticipate, they want to learn, right? But it would just kind of end up being more of the same, like from qualifying. Just a real lack of drive off was the biggest problem.
Now, when you say drive off, for people that don't understand drive off, what would you explain, like, what would that be, you know, if you were to explain that to somebody that drives just a regular passenger car, what would that be like compared to, you know, driving your super late model?
Well, just essentially, like, maybe the best example is if you're on a slippery surface or whatever, right? You just have tire spin. It's like you can feel the drivetrain, you can feel the tires turning, but you're not accelerating. And we can do that on dry asphalt without the proper setup. And that's basically what was going everything's turning, just there's no grip.
Now with these tires, we're going to be bringing these tires with next month to WIR.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything that you're anticipating with this? Do you feel like this is going to kind of maybe work in your favor where, you didn't get that result at the Dells? Or?
Well, we're just going to work with the Pathfinder guys and Lars at Elite because they ran on the same tire too and experienced some of the same things with a couple of their other drivers. So I'm sure they've got quite the notebook that we can lean on.
Mm-hmm.
And plus we got a test day coming up. So we'll probably try and get another set of tires mixed in there. Try and get the same batch codes unless, told otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But that will just allow for things to be more consistent. And, fortunately, we're one of just a handful of weekly guys that are on the new tires. So, we've got some information that others don't.
Yeah, and now with that, you also got a race under your belt too,
Mm-hmm.
with the with the car and everything.
Yep.
So going into next month, you kind of feeling really good going into the season opener.
It is good. Like we all, it's actually kind of not just me. It's everybody that's part of the team to kind of switch from off season, build a car mode to get back to going to the track mode. Right? It's different.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden, most of your work is taken care of at the track as far as maximum effort. When we're at the shop, of course, we're still working and doing nut and bolt checks and getting things prepared, but more of your effort is spent at the track now.
Now with the long wait until the season opener, what do you do until then?
Well, we're just gonna keep going through the car, really. We have a nut and bolt check that just, like I said, we'll get back into our regular rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
and that begins with a nut and bolt check, checking fluids. If we're going to WR, we'll have to change a gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that sort of stuff. We got a little bit of, the driver got a little, trying too hard in the heat race and kind of skipped it off the concrete a little bit, so we got a tiny little damage to shore up. But really lots of minor stuff. We got some trailer stuff we're going to prep, work on.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and Eric and you, everybody's been working so hard and really got that thing tip-top, that's a big part of it too. When you want to race a lot, the last thing you need is something that's like not race related to be a pain in the butt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being the trailer. Get your tools set up. We got half a dozen radios, have those set up nicely, have things put away, organized, right?
Yeah, just makes it easier for us going in. Yeah, and then so with that being said, well, we only ran a certain amount of laps on these tires,
Mm-hmm.
so they're kind of fresh going in.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, we didn't wreck the car.
Nope.
We saw the feature. What was your take on what you saw during the feature?
This race and these big races, but it seems like this one in particular always ends up being pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
Guys trying real hard to make passes, being very aggressive, and things get tore up, right?
Yes.
Which is too bad because I'm sure in general it's not intentional. Everyone's just trying really hard, and when you have two drivers trying really hard, they just inevitably make contact and tear stuff up.
With it being the first race of the season, there's a lot of added pressure, because you want to be that guy that wins the icebreaker,
Yep.
or you want to be that guy that sets the tone. So with that being said, are you going to maybe look forward to running more races at the Dells with some of the incentives and things that they announced during the drivers meeting? Or
you have to kind of commit to running all 5 races there, at least for like their Live for 5 program. I don't think we're set up quite to do that, but for sure the Halloween, and maybe that CWRA race that we did, if we can find some more recap tires to bring along, who knows?
Yeah, I like it. Do you have anything that you want to maybe, mention before we end up ending, or?
No, that was great, Chris. Oh, we also in the background. This is.
It's not the shop.
It's not the shop. This is a wonderful place we have to lodge here in the Dells, which also makes coming here really fun. It's just 5 miles from the track. Hope he doesn't mind me mentioning it, but Mike Hubbard's place is just a wonderful place. Wonderful neighbors. It's at Camp Delton. Permanent campsite. I don't know. Mike, how many sites are here? You can tell us.
About 340.
Well, 340 sites. So big place. Like I said, real close to the track, and it really helps. When we're coming this way, we don't have to figure out lodging. We got a fun place to go to. We got fire going in the background, plenty of cold drinks, plenty of good food, and great people.
Yeah, I love it. And for us, that is a winning combination,
It
and that's
is.
always something that we want.
Yep.
Well, this is going to conclude lap 14. Join us next time for shop night. You know what that means. I'm Chris Marshall. He's Lou Goss. You guys have a good one. Yes.